We've lost the plot. Nobody rational likes us anymore.
Can't we just deport the real Americans?
Even Democrats know they're on the wrong track. Welcome aboard. So, Jeremy, there is a website that is actually a very, very left-wing website called Deciding to Win. Have you ever heard of it?
No, but I'm trying to figure out, I mean, do you ever decide to lose? I mean, deciding to win is kind of like, duh. I mean, is there a point where you're like, you know what? Go ahead and lose. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so this is a think tank. They do research, and they're trying to decide, hey, wait a second. We need to fix the Democrat Party. We need to win again. That's my understanding of the website. If I'm wrong, hey, guys, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. But that's my understanding.
Kind of looks like it.
Anyways, deciding to win toward a common sense renewal of the Democrat Party. All right, so we're going to go down here. And they did a survey, a study on how the Democrat Party's priorities have changed. And these are different words that Democrats on their sites are actually using more and less. Okay. Let me move this over just a little bit. There we go. That's better.
That was wrecking my OCD.
There you go. It makes it so much easier. So words like white, black, Latino.
Latinx. I know that.
Latinx. There you go. I hate Latinx.
I don't know exactly what it means. I just know that's what everybody says.
Well, because saying Latino and Latina is gendered language.
Oh, I guess it is. I never thought about that.
But it's a language.
Okay.
Most languages have male and female versions.
But you know what? I know because I'm trying to learn a little bit of Spanish because my kids and stuff try and teach me.
All right.
There are words like ocean is oceano, but it doesn't have a oceana.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would be wrong with Latino just meaning, I don't know, I guess I'm confused.
Some words that end in O tend to be male. Words that end in A are female, and some words are male and some words are female. I don't understand the split.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you just have to know.
But I mean, is the
language
Latino and Latina, is it a case of this is a left side thing that's decided that you can't put gender on it, even though naturally there is just a gender name for it?
Yeah, that's why they brought out Latinx, because if you say, oh, Latinos and Latinas, or just say Latinos, if you have a group of girls having conversations,
yeah,
and one guy comes in, all of a sudden certain words switch to the male word. It's kind of like when you have a bunch of girls talking, hey girls, how you doing? But one guy is there, you go, hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that is the closest we get in English.
Okay.
And I am no expert in Spanish, though I do speak more than you.
No clue. Yes, you absolutely do.
I do. I could go to Mexico and have somewhat of a conversation.
I can order a quesadilla.
All right, so we have climate. Climate is a big issue for the Democrats. So it does make sense it's there. Guns, you know, they're always talking, oh, we need gun control. And no surprise, one of the other biggest things is the LGBTQ.
Is that 1,044%?
It is up 1,044%. Wow. So really, the biggest couple of issues the Democrats are talking about are race, which to me means nothing.
Yeah, you know, I really like, I think it was Morgan Freeman's statement about that. You know, you stop calling me a black man, I'll stop calling you a white man, and we ended racism.
Yeah, that was a conversation with Mike Wallace.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of conversations, I do want to say this. We haven't played a commercial in a while. I know they're making new commercials, but we would like to thank Conservative Peaches. We just received today some boom stands. They have some extra cords and mics coming to improve the sound, but we're actually able to sit a little more comfortably, face each other instead of facing forward. They just got us a brand new table that we could talk at, because the last table was 3 feet 4 inches.
Oh yeah, now I don't have to sit there and feel very uncomfortable working with you.
Yeah, we were having a little LGBTQ moment between us because the table was so small. But I mean, they're talking about things like climate. Okay, I'm sorry. Ever since I was a kid, the planet's going into an ice age. We're
don't
going
get me
to
started on that.
We've got 12 years left before it's too late. Florida will be gone by 2020.
Here's the deal, and this frustrates me. And I understand the metric system. Heck, I teach the metric system to these kids, and so I understand. Yes, the theory of freeze water, boil water, divide it into 100 and you can get an accurate reading, blah, blah, blah. But truth be told, since the 60s, well, let me rephrase that. We haven't been able to get really, truly good, accurate data since about the 60s on. So, I mean, science can talk about all these things and that, but at the end of the day, there were variations in the glass diameter for the pipette for alcohol compared to mercury thermometers, compared to all this. And so, I mean, we could get close. We could get within a degree or two, but we couldn't get accurate. And in fact, it's interesting because I read a study where this guy lived up in Colorado. He's kind of hermit. And he just decided to keep track of snowfall for like 30 years. And he wrote it in his notebook. And he used the same stick and the same thermometer for these 30 years. And so it's one of the only accurate things they have of snowfall for the Rockies, because there was no upgrade. There was no change of anything. Everything was exactly the same for like 30 years. But
no, well, I'm looking it up right now. The first weather climate satellite did not go up until April 1st, April Fool's Day, 1960. I thought it actually was later. So we really have accurate, quote unquote, accurate data starting in 1960.
So that's my point.
And that's just what I looked up.
60 years. And we've been doing this for millennia as far as like saying ice ages and that. So how do we really know? Are we on the way up? Are we on the way out? Are we this? We don't know.
Well, most of the data I've seen about, we're warming up, I believe it goes back to 1972 off the top of my head.
Well,
and that's the starting point, because that was the low point of a cooling phase. It's going back up. But if you look over millennia, we're actually in a cold phase.
Yeah. That's what I mean. There's all kinds of little
spikes
and dips and stuff. We have no idea where we're actually going. It's like looking at the stock market and trying to decide a 20-year trend by looking at 2 months.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's see if you know. What is the number one factor in the temperature of Earth?
Money.
No,
it's money.
No. I mean,
whoever pays gets the right number.
No, I get it, but realistically, scientifically, what causes heat more than anything on the planet?
Sun.
The sun.
Greenhouse gas.
No. The sun. Let's start at the sun. Does the sun stay the exact same temperature, or does the sun warm up and cool off?
No, it warms and cools, and that's why we have these huge solar flares.
There you go. And then we have atmospheric effects and everything like that. So the climate is always changing. Yeah, it always has.
That volcano, it was right around COVID, the volcano that went off. I can't remember the name. Okay. It was in Italy, I think it was.
All right.
Belched out more CO2 in the world than we had in our entire modern history.
Decade.
No, it was our entire modern history.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, so let me get this straight. We're ruining the environment. One minor volcano goes off. And so I don't know. I get grumpy about the whole thing because I feel like it really works out to whoever has the largest checkbook wins. And I do have a relative who worked as a climatologist, not a meteorologist, a climatologist. And he worked for the government for a short amount of time, and then he went back to private industry because he said it was so corrupt. They wanted certain things pushed, and he said that's just not actually the case.
Well, 6 years ago, I just looked it up, AOC said we have 12 years left, or we're going. That was on January 22nd, 2019. So it's about 7 years. Well, we're almost 7 years. Yeah, so we basically have 5 years left, according to AOC, until she turns around and says we have 12 years left on climate. Going back.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Hit something hard. I don't want to walk away from this. So, just let it go. 5 years from now.
5 years from now, we'll talk about it.
Go.
Let's see. Oh, this is great. They talk about justice. Justice is a big thing, but what is justice? Hate. Oh my God. there are so many places doing the hate has no home here. And I'm thinking, what, you don't allow Democrats in? Because the way I see it, I mean, okay,
oh my gosh, that was good.
I haven't really said that.
I feel most of my life on hate sometimes.
There. Well, I mean, how many times have you seen a Republican say, I hate insert whatever, people who are gay, people who are bi, people who are whatever race? I don't see that, but I see hate coming from the Democrats like crazy. They hate Donald Trump. They hate Republicans. They hate white privilege, which doesn't exist. I mean, just.
Yeah, I hate. The only thing I think we can uniformly say is we all hate Mondays.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless you have Mondays off, and then you're going to hate Tuesdays, which is your Monday.
Yeah. The other thing, a big one, democracy. I see the Democrats going, oh, we need to save democracy by getting rid of the duly elected president. The only hate I really see coming is from the left. The only violence is coming from the left, pretty much.
I always have a trouble, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with the history teacher here. Democracy is mob rule.
It is. Democracy is if you can get 50% plus one person, you can, let's call it 51%, you can push around the other 49. We are not a democracy.
We are a republic.
We are a republic.
Republic, sorry.
In fact, the democracy, the only thing worse than a democracy is a dictatorship, because democracy will lead to a dictatorship every single time, because you have mob rule, and then the mob starts turning on itself, and you get that small group of the mob basically controlling everything. Democracy is terrible.
Once a year in my advisory class, we sit down and talk about this, and it's usually because there's some political thing going on. And once a year we sit down, and I usually try and pick the meekest, quietest, calmest kid. And I'm like, okay, we're all going to Karen. Who's on board with me? And nobody wants to vote. Nobody wants to get on board. And I slowly get people, well, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to do that. And I engineer it till I get to almost perfectly 50% want to Karen,
Unalive.
I'm sorry. Unalive Karen. And so we go round and round, and then I get one person more. And then what I do is, after we've gotten rid of Karen, obviously, she's out of the voter pool, then I decide on somebody else. And we work our way through, and I show that democracy, I can actually pick and choose who gets to live and who gets to unalive by just twisting the votes just a little bit each way. And within about 3 people, they've realized the flaw in this system. And I say, okay, now see how that could be twisted for anything.
Yeah, democracy, like our founding fathers purposely avoided democracy. They wanted a republic. At best, we have a democratic republic. We have a constitutional republic. Yes. But there you go. The other thing is reproductive rights, reproduction. And, I got to say this. I think I think we can come to a compromise. And let's see if we can do this. How many abortions does someone actually need? I heard somebody saying this earlier today, and I'm like,
need?
Yeah, okay. You go up to somebody and say, why don't you vote this way? Well, it's reproductive rights. Okay, so let's discuss this. How many abortions do you think you need? Like what? 2, 3, 5? Give me a number which would be the max number of abortions. Because if you're coming up with like 11 or 13 abortions, girl, we need to talk.
I don't even feel comfortable talking about this, to be honest with you.
Because if you need 3...
need.
You don't need any.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need any. Yeah.
But I mean,
there are too many variables in that to really even begin. But yeah.
But, I mean, when I look at Democrats, I've been hearing the same argument over and over again. Republicans want you to have dirty air, dirty water. We want to push grandma off the cliff, and we got to save reproductive lives.
Well, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
Who's grandma? Maybe.
Oh, as long as it's somebody else's grandma. I mean, that is their entire argument. But going down, let's look at this. Why are people leaving the Democrat Party? Let's start at the very extreme bottom. One of the things they're talking about less is jobs.
Well, that's because they don't want anybody to have one.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're dependent on a state and they're the ones handing out, oh, here's all the goodies that all the people working are paying for, great. You don't want to talk about jobs. I'm sorry. Isn't that just responsibility?
You know, I never quite grasped that concept. And I guess that's my problem. You know, I look at this and I think, jobs. You want everybody working because they pay the taxes so you can spend the money.
No. That is a means to an end. But for the Democrat Party,
But yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, I don't get it. They want to spend the money, but if nobody's working, there isn't any money.
well, here's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats need people to be dependent.
Yeah.
We're going to be the ones giving you the goodies. We need you to be dependent. Republicans need you to be self-sufficient.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're the ones saying, hey, you know what? You need to be responsible, take care of yourself, and we don't need as many goodies, so we can shrink the size of government. And that brings us to the middle class. I mean, the Democrats aren't even talking about the middle class anymore. They don't care about the average Joe. They just don't. I mean, they're talking about that. It's down 79%. And what do the Republicans do? That's all they're talking about is the middle class.
Well, that's, by definition, the middle is the most. I mean, upper class doesn't have very many. Lower class doesn't have very many. The middle class is the biggest number.
You know, I had a professor once. She was my mentor, absolutely adored her. And I mean, it just makes sense. You can judge an economy by the middle class. If you have a huge middle class, a little, lower rich, and you're going to have poor, hey, you're doing great. If the middle class is the thinnest part, if you have a ton of really poor people or a ton of rich and a ton of poor, but a very small middle class, you do not have a good economy because it's the middle class that really runs the economy. If the middle class is thriving, you're doing great. And if people get rich off of that, so what? And if you're poor, well, figure out what everybody else is doing. Now, if you are indigent, I'm fine with helping you out. If you're truly indigent. But most people, they're on drugs or they're just being lazy or they've decided to make bad decisions that lead to this nonsense.
I'm always reminded of George Carlin's statement about the upper, middle, and lower class. He's like, the upper class has all the money, pays none of the taxes. He said, middle class pays all the taxes, does all the work. He said, lower class is just there to keep the middle class showing up at those jobs.
Well, I've heard that phrase, work harder, you have to pay for somebody else's welfare, EBT, and I understand if you get in a bad spot, I'm willing to help you out for 6 months.
Absolutely.
But after that, you're done.
Well, we've talked about this before. Holland is famous.
Yeah.
Holland had up to 4 years of unemployment, EBT, welfare, whatever you want to call it, to help. And what they found in this huge study was they found that nothing dropped off, no matter how big they made it, because they started out small and it got all the way to 4 years long. And they found out nobody ever got off until the last 4 months, no matter how long they made it, no matter how short they made it. So you know what they did?
4 months.
It is exactly 4 months. And
4 months.
You know what their unemployment rate is as far as like using the system?
I don't know the number.
It's like down in the very low single digits. This was years ago, but I want to say it was like 2-3%. It's insane how little is actually being used, because as soon as they get off, they're like, oh my gosh, I need a job, and they run out and try and find one.
One of the things I really notice here as well, tax cuts.
Well,
Because they don't want to give tax cuts because they always claim the rich get tax cuts. Well, who pays most taxes?
the middle class.
Well,
By volume, the middle class pays.
well, here's the thing. All taxes are, at the end of the day, paid for by the bulk of consumers, and the bulk of consumers are the middle class. But if you look at the top 1%, they're paying the bulk of federal income taxes.
Yes. Actually, believe it or not, yeah, I mean, it's because it is a percentage system.
Yeah.
It feels like they're not paying as much because their percentage is less. But at the end of the day, because they find all the loopholes and everything, but the dollar amount is more.
This is another one that really gets me. Father and fathers. The Democrats don't think fathers are important. If you look at it, they're down 100%. They've cut in half how often they talk about fathers. And I'm sorry, fathers are hugely important to kids.
I think I've talked about this before, but when I taught in the jails, it was a requirement. We had to have some sort of reflection type essay type thing. And because I taught construction in the jails and these were adults, they weren't kids, we would bring in things like health and mental well-being and that sort of thing. Because, I mean, let's face it, construction, heart disease is huge in us and all that sort of thing. But one thing we talk about is I'd always have them do a reflection essay. What are your lefts and rights? I didn't want to know about their crimes. I didn't want to know about any of that. I just wanted to know what were the lefts and rights and where do you think you could have turned right instead of left in that in your life and that sort of thing. And I actually had to stop asking for these because I got so depressed because I'm just one of those teachers that's stupid enough to read it all. And I got so depressed all the time. And so I stopped asking for these after I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times of doing it. And overwhelmingly, I mean, almost 100% of the time, it was like, I didn't have a father figure when I was growing up.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've looked into this. And the top 3 reasons why people are in prison. Number 1, no dad in the home. Yeah. At least with men. Mm-hmm. I don't know about women. Number 2, drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And then number 3 are the gangs.
Yep.
But the irony is the problems in the prisons are reversed. The number 1 problem in prison is the gangs. The second biggest problem in prison is drugs and alcohol. And third, well, the father issue is
there's no
over.
Family.
Yeah,
there's no family
once you're there.
The problem is.
Yeah, so fathers are hugely important.
Yes.
You want to keep people from going to prison. You want people to make good decisions. Fathers are crucially important. And studies I've seen, I'm not saying that moms aren't important. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely not.
But between the father and the mother, the father being there tends to be more important on how that kid grows up than the mother being there.
Well, mom provides the kind of emotional side in that, but dads provide that rules and structure. I would say of our millions of followers.
We're at 71 as of the recording of this.
Yeah. So, but I would say they'd all agree that dad was the one that got after them when they did something wrong.
Dad was disciplined.
Mom was the warden. Mom was the chaplain.
Absolutely. It's like with my kid. When my kid gets hurt, instantly runs to mom.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
My son is afraid and wants protection, he comes to me.
Yep.
So there you go. By the way, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We'd love to have you aboard as a listener, as a subscriber, participate. Jeremy and I take turns writing back to people who make comments. Sometimes we do it together.
Yeah.
Notice we always say we think or we because we're a team here. But we would love to have you as a subscriber.
That would be wonderful.
But with that,
we'll see you at the next stop.
there are so many places doing the hate has no home here. And I'm thinking, what, you don't allow Democrats in? Because the way I see it, I mean, okay.
Oh my gosh, that was good.